So, in my last video I talked about the problems with the garden gym, and I spoke more about the sort of atmosphere that a garden creates rather than the physical problems with a garden gym. But one of those physical problems that I did mention was the fact that the flooring on the patio is starting to get dented. So I've had to move the deadlift platform over to this pebbly area just to try and protect some of the brickwork. It's not ideal because the stones underneath are very uneven, even though I've put some sand underneath and I'm trying to level it out, but it's just very awkward. So I'm going to have to get some plywood and maybe some more sand to properly level it out. But it's not ideal, but it saves me having to spend a lot more money on bricks. Anyway, let's give it a trial run. This is not ideal at all. You can see here, look, where the mats were splitting on the last few reps there. It felt horrible. I looked down, I was probably on the third rep there of the last set. Looking down, physically seeing it moving, I thought I was going to do the splits and have 200 kilos end up crushing my legs, but this is obviously not a great setup really, and it's just too bobbly, and you'll see here where it's supposed to be for the size of this plate. It's actually, these plates here are touching the bottom, which means I'm actually doing sumo deficits, which are just ridiculously hard anyway. So overall, not a good setup at all, but I've got 2 more sets to do. I'm contemplating just moving it onto the side and just doing those 2 sets, or risking it, I don't know, but not ideal at all. You can literally see where it's left a big dent in the sand and in the gravel there, so clearly this isn't an optimal place to deadlift. I'm going to switch back onto the patio now that I'm doing the lighter weights, and then we're just going to have to come up with another plan. So just standing on this now is a million times better than the gravel, so I think I need to try and aim to be lifting on this, but it's just about finding a way that I can do it without actually damaging the bricks. So that's a problem for future Matt. having good old Anne next door going, "Hello Matt," just as I'm about to hit a top set is not ideal, but it's absolutely fine. Yeah. So I think those last 2 sets confirmed it. It's nothing to do with the mats. I'm just getting weaker. But now is not really the time to think about the regression I've made because I've got a bench. So I definitely recommend this method of cooking a steak. It is unreal. So that is putting the seasoning on a board, cooking the steak and then marinating. It is unreal, and it's a much needed refeed meal, to be fair, because I've definitely felt quite flat the last few days, and strength has, maybe because of that, felt crap as well. And to be fair, this isn't a cheap meal, it's just a refeed meal, so it's all the food that I would be eating on my cut, but just a bit more of it. So I'm just having more steak, a big amount of brown rice here, and just some tomatoes here for some vegetables. But yeah, I just want to have a bit of a boost in calories for the next couple of days, just to make me feel a little bit better when training. Doesn't mean I'm not sticking to the diet, it just means I am having a tactical refeed, I suppose, and it is more from a psychological point of view, just so I can feel a little bit better while training. And although I realise this is what I've signed up for, I know that if I'm going to be dieting and trying to get down to the 93 kilo class, I realise that I'm going to lose a little bit of strength, and I've kind of come to terms with that. But when you actually don't feel as strong with weights which you should be hitting easily, it does mess with you a little bit psychologically. So just counteracting that by having a nice refeed meal for the next couple of days, which means I'll probably be eating just over maintenance, literally so I can just feel a little bit fuller, feel a little bit stronger, and then we'll crack on again with the diet and hopefully be not too far off getting down to the 93 kilo class, because I'm down to 97 kilos pretty much every day now, so that is 10 kilos since Christmas, so I am well on my way to get into 93. So luckily today was a light session and I was just doing some pause squats and some pause bench with the tempo. So I was just doing 150 kilos, 3 seconds down with a 1 second pause and then up. And I was actually doing that listening to a podcast, which was actually quite nice. So I wasn't trying to focus on getting in the zone and all of that sort of stuff that I mentioned in the last video. I was just literally enjoying being in the gym or being in the garden and just listening to a podcast while I was training. It was pretty nice. It was just a Pete Rubish podcast, which was a 2-hour podcast, so it pretty much lasted the entirety of the session. So that was pretty cool, and I might actually do that going forward, just listen to a podcast and take in some knowledge as well, because there were some ridiculously strong dudes on that. So tomorrow is my final session of the week, my final deadlift session of the week. So deadlift's the one that I'm having the most trouble with at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. It's only 180 kilos, so it's what my back offsets were for the first deadlift session of the week. So it shouldn't be an issue, and especially if I do have a couple of refeed meals, that should sort of put me back on track and set me up for next week. But I'm not going to show you that in this video, because I think it's gone on long enough and you've seen enough of this bald face. So I'm going to sign out the video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please leave it a like. As always, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace. And go and make this steak. It's unreal.